Did you know that you light up my world? Not metaphorically, literally. If you consume and burn 2,500 calories in a single day, then you generate around 120 watts of power across the 24-hour period. But typically at rest, you generate and burn 80 watts of power. This will be important in a minute. Now, approximately a quarter of that goes towards maintaining your brain, to fuel neurons, maintain brain cells, and transmit signals. This is happening constantly and you can't stop it. And don't even try to figure out how, because when thinking really hard, it increases your brain's energy consumption by about 5 to 8%. But where does the rest go? Roughly 40% is spent on breathing, filtering waste, organ function, and pumping blood. 20% goes on maintaining your muscle, and 15% goes on maintaining cells, protein synthesis, and regulating body temperature. Okay, it's not technically like for like because the body doesn't have electricity inside of it like a device does. If it did, then we wouldn't need the nerves in our spinal column to act as a relay to send signals to our extremities. By the way, the spinal column is what gives you lightning fast reflexes to move your hand off something that hurts before your brain has even registered that it hurts. Instead of electrons, like in a device, it's an electrochemical process where the body moves charged particles around your body. And this is very slow. This happens up to a speed of about 120 meters per second, which is half the cruising speed of a Boeing 747. Whereas the speed of electricity traveling through a copper wire is at 300 million meters per second. That's 2.5 million times faster. So we can't harness the power of your body, really. But if we could harness the power of your body, and your resting body was utilised to 100% efficiency with no losses, you could power an 80 watt light. This one is only 60 watts, so you'd still have room to breathe. Now, if you wanted to breathe heavily, you could use a bike generator, which would produce up to 100 watts of power for the average person, which would charge the average phone in about 30 minutes. Now, if you're a fit cyclist, this can go up to 300 watts for faster charging. But to do that, you would need to consume more energy in the form of food to produce more electricity. And a lot of that energy would be lost in the form of heat and sweating, and also to rebuild your muscles. So overall, it's a net loss, which kind of hurts. Something else that hurts is static electricity. Apparently, when you walk across carpet, you can generate up to 35,000 volts of electricity, which is classed as the upper boundary of medium voltage electricity. This is the same voltage of electricity that's used in infrastructure that runs through a substation for things like factories, mines, and renewable power plants. Bear in mind, a AA battery provides 1.5 volts, which is mathematically a lot less than 35,000. This high voltage static shock is usually harmless to us because the actual energy a static shock produces is in the millijoules, because the current is extremely low and it lasts for about 10 to 100 nanoseconds.
Apparently, to do any damage,
you would need 60 to 100 static shocks every second to create 1 watt of electricity. This is more than enough to power a single calculator, which is insanely cool that for such little energy, they do such big maths. Speaking of big maths, for a typical 9 watt LED bulb, you would need around 500 shocks per second, and a 60 watt laptop or a light would need 3,500 shocks per second. Now, it takes a couple of seconds to build up a static shock, so to achieve 3,500 shocks per second, you'd probably need 7,000 people in an assembly line getting carpet burned feet constantly to produce a stable 60 watts of power. But remember, each one of those people are going to require 80 watts of power at rest just to survive. This totals over 500,000 watts of power just for upkeep. So it's not very sustainable. What might be more sustainable is harvesting everybody in that assembly line, because each of them have about 50 micrograms of uranium stored in their body, which was absorbed through food, water, and air. Now, only 0.007 grams of uranium is needed to create 1 megawatt of electricity. That's enough to power the average UK home for 3 months, or a single 1,000 watt microwave for 41 days. That's enough to cook approximately 11,808 microwave meals. Pretty good, right? Well, to get 0.007 pounds of uranium, we'd need to perfectly harvest 63,503 people. That's the whole population of Kettering in England to power 1 home for 3 months. In the real world, you can get a 100 watt solar panel for 50 quid, which in summer will reliably produce 400 watt hours per day, which will run a standard laptop or my video light for 6 hours. So realistically, using humans to generate electricity isn't very efficient, especially considering you'll be feeding them to get less power back. Using solar panels is just better because not only do you get free energy from the environment, over their 30-year lifespan, they'll produce 10 to 20 times the amount of electricity that it took to create them. And then you could use that electricity to create more solar panels, to create more electricity, to create more solar. Thanks for watching. If you thought this was interesting, please leave a like and subscribe. Comment any thoughts that you have, and if there's any other topics that you'd like me to explore. And remember, don't start harvesting people. It's just not energy efficient.